Hi, and welcome to my channel. So today we're playing with this thrift find. It is a little dirty. This will only be a small portion of my video, I believe. So I wasn't too concerned about cleaning it up a whole lot because I'm probably just going to use it a little bit and then send it back to the thrift store. But I believe, based on a Google search, that this is the spin and spiral art maker or something along those lines. So it is missing this knob, but I found out that a Posca pen fits perfectly. It did have, all of the papers that came with it were used, but I did find a couple in here that were kind of like mess ups, but the backs are predominantly clean. This has some along the edges, but the middle is fine. And then these are perfectly fine as well. So my idea with this video, it did come with the inks, but there's not, well, there's a lot with the pink, but the yellow and the blue, there's not a whole lot of. So my thought process is I have some of my own alcohol inks. They're primarily in neutrals, or they're kind of all in neutrals. But that way we can kind of play with how it works. And I am going to collaborate with some stranger, probably a child, and use one or maybe a couple. I might do a few of these. And I'm going to use the pre-made spiral things and use the inks to paint my own image, cut it out, and then use one of these as backdrop. So first, I'm going to kind of explain the setup a little bit. So it has this plastic doohickey that sets in there. There's supposed to be a knob here, but basically you press it and it spins, and it has these little slots for the paper. It also has a spirograph thing. I didn't want to take the sticker off because I wanted to show you guys. I paid about $3 for this, but it has the spirographs, so you put the markers in, and if you don't know how a spirograph works, it just makes a pattern essentially depending on which piece you use. I'm not really gonna be playing with that part as much, and I am wearing an old messy shirt so that if I do get paint on me, it's okay, or ink on me, it's okay. I want to start with my lightest color, I think. I've already got ink on me. This is going fantastic. So I'm going to please spin it a little bit. Well, that didn't work out well. Alright, so you've got to use quite a bit. I don't think it was made for alcohol inks. I think that soaks in way too much, but it kind of gives you the gist. Kind of cool. It reminds me of a calico cat. Maybe I will use that last one, or the last of the brown, and I might try and use the white as well. I may have gone overboard. But it is fun. I can see the appeal. I'm gonna try and add some white back in. Ooh, that's kind of sick. It definitely reminds me of an animal of some sort. Okay, I'm actually really happy with that. I did not expect to be, especially in the very beginning. All right, that's cool. Okay. So that was kind of just how to show you, that was just kind of to show you how it worked. But I kind of love it. I still do want to use somebody else's. So I don't think I'm going to use these ones, these Spyro ones. Kind of want to use the sploshy ones. So now I have two options. I have one that's a little fuller in the background, and then one that's a little more simplistic, depending on how it looks with the artwork on top. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set these two aside, and also this aside. I'll let this dry. I'll probably try and remember. I'm gonna try and remember to show you what this looks like once it's dried, if I can remember to. And we will get going on the artwork, and then once I've cut it out, we'll set it on top of both and see what we think. So I know I need to repaint my desk. Let's ignore that. I've also misplaced my palette. So we're just gonna be using this. It's got plastic on it. It's just packaging that I have flipped over because it's for a different video. And we're just gonna hope that the ink doesn't run. But to start with, I've got to get my sketch in. So instead of a graphite pencil, I'm just using a cheap watercolor pencil. If I can't erase my lines, I'll just water them out. And I don't want to make it too big. It's also the beauty of using this one that has a little bit of mess on the edge, so I don't feel bad about using this one, is I have the size and the gauge of the paper that it's going to be going down onto as well. Right, so I have the size of my center, and I have the size of approximately the radius of the petals. So all I'm doing right now is just trying to gradually fade it so that I have a base of that really light yellow underneath for the tips, because a lot of the tips are a lot lighter. And then that way, if I have any spots where I don't fully cover it, I kind of have that. And this way I can also kind of scrub out that pencil line a little bit. So far I've only used the yellow, and I was just building up with the yellow. I started with the straight ink and directly in the middle, did a light wash, and then watered it down a little bit, for some parts and then used the straight ink again. Now we're gonna start mixing colors. I need to get more of a brownish yellow. And if I get just straight brown, then that's okay because I also need that for the center. So I have the outside 2 test colors on, which is perfect. That is a black. All right, let's add more yellow. Really happy with that, considering the paper is not great for this. I mean, it is a kid's art supply, and I'm not using it how it's meant to be either. So I'm gonna let this dry. While we're letting that dry, this is dry now, so we can take a look at this. Granted, it is not the inks that this kit came with, because I was trying to save them, but I actually quite like the way this came out. It does remind me of some sort of critter, and I think that's mostly just the color scheme, all those browns. I don't know if it reminds me of like an African mammal, like a cheetah almost, until the white came back into the play. It reminded me of a cheetah. Now I'm kind of seeing owl. But anywho, pun intended, we're gonna set these aside. That's actually really cool. I might use that for something eventually. And I just figured since we have the kit, we may as well use the other intended purpose so that we can fully appreciate the whole thing for what it is. So let's see. I remember looking at these and one of the markers was a little janky. So I guess we'll go with the red. I'm gonna set that lid there. It's kind of cool. I don't know what I would use it for, if anything, because this isn't something that I would really, you know, put up in my home, but let's do one of the tiny ones. This was the one that was chewed up. It looks like somebody like tore it off or just pushed it in, maybe chewed it, I don't know. But it's kind of janky, but we'll see what we can get from it. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of that. That's the kind of image that you're gonna get essentially. Just kind of shapy. Looks like something you would see in a science class or a math class maybe. I mean, it's neat. It's not bad by any means, and it is for children. So you're gonna get something that looks like it's for children. With that being said, the spinny part, this thing is sick. I love that. And considering I made this from a kid's toy, I mean, it's art in a sense. It's not typically the kind of art that I do, but that doesn't mean that any other kind of art is bad by any means. It's just not what I'm used to. It's not as much my aesthetic, but I feel like I might be able to use this for something at some point. And it's neat. It was fun to make, that's the important part. So all I'm doing right now is I'm just going to cut around this as carefully as I can with just regular scissors. Which, speaking of regular scissors, this is a stocking stuffer from my mom this year. She does watch my videos. She noticed that at the end of last year, I was using kid scissors because I couldn't find my regular scissors. Which, by the way, my regular scissors are sewing scissors that I shouldn't use on paper anyway. So, thanks, Mom. These are really useful. Let's see. I'm gonna do like an initial cut between the wider petals because I feel like that'll make it a little easier. But it's almost like cardstock. It doesn't feel like watercolor paper, and it's obviously thicker than like printer paper, which is honestly a lot from Crayola, because a lot of their sets, no matter what kind of medium you're using, it's essentially printer paper. No shade on Crayola though. I mean, it is a kids company. They're marketed towards children's products. So, I mean, you get what you're paying for. Your expectations shouldn't be too high as an adult. But also, with that being said, if you've got kids and you want to let them be artistic or even possibly pursue the arts as an adult, you want them to have like decent supplies so that they don't get discouraged because they don't think they're making good art just because of their supplies. Now, that's not to say that you need high quality supplies to make good art by any means. That is the furthest thing from what I want to promote on this channel. That's part of the reason I play with so many supplies. It's also because I'm very ADHD and I get bored of the same thing very quickly. And I do love art, but if I used the same medium for everything all of the time, I think I would have burnt out on it a long time ago. And I have had periods in my life with art where I've stopped for decent periods of time, and I'm not proud of it, but it is what it is. It is the case. Alright, so I've put it off as much as I can now. We're just gonna go in and do our best. So I've got this all cut out, and I've decided to reimagine the orientation rather than having it like this. I think I prefer it like that. So then I'm just gonna go ahead. That's too busy. So I think this one's also going to be too busy. Yeah. I quite like this one. This one's an option. I'll take these guys away. This one might be a little too simple. What if we orientate it to where it's like that? Not digging that one either. That one's kind of funky. So I'm between these two. And I'm thinking with the pinkyish middle and the yellow in the flower, I'm really vibing with that one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to glue it, and you can see here where the scribbles were from the previous artist or artists using it. I'm just going to use some tacky glue. I'll wash that off later. It on the top as well before it starts spreading, making a big old mess. Let's just put this down before we make a bigger one. I'm going to take the purple marker initials because we never want to forget to sign our work. Considering this is from a $3 craft kit from Goodwill, and it's a children's art supply, I think we did pretty all right. I am actually really happy with this piece. So if you liked this video, or you like my artwork, hopefully you like both. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to stay artsy.